portion of our meeting.
And just, as I recall from last Tuesday, or the last meeting that we had last month, just to clarify again, we continued the public hearing, not just for this coming Tuesday, but we continued the public hearing for today.
That is correct.
If there's anybody, and I don't see it on the agenda, that's why I'm bringing it up, Mr. Mayor, just to help you out with the process.
Right.
Yeah, well, right here it says public.
Maybe I'm missing it.
I'm looking at the agenda. I'm just going to go right down the agenda.
Oh, he's got it. Yeah, take a look. See it, Vern?
Yeah, but that looks like it's Tuesday's agenda.
Yeah.
It
You're
is
right.
Tuesday.
And so but we're to talk
This is
about it today.
appropriate now.
Okay.
Right.
That's all I'm saying.
So carrying on with the thought, it's appropriate at this point then to entertain any public comment
Correct.
concerning the proposed subdivision and land development ordinances. Is there anyone from the public that cares to make comment on this continuing opportunity to comment on the proposed subdivision and land development ordinance? Once again, once again, it will also take place again on Tuesday, if anybody's interested.
Very good. And Sharon, I apologize. All members are present except for Mr. Cooker. He supposedly will be here late. And as everybody knows, Mr. Brown is serving overseas. And Council, are there any additions or corrections to the draft set of minutes of Citizens Night, August 4th, 2011, work session meeting of August 4th, 2011, and a regular council meeting of August 9th, 2011? Seeing none, we'll go, are there any questions on a report of our tax collector?
Yes, Mayor.
Please.
I'm just
Would you
looking-
like Fulkerson to come up?
Oh, yes, Pat. Brief question. Looking across the approval of the reports on the Berkheimer delinquent earned income tax, I'm just looking, okay, 2011 is listed and 2010 next to it. Those are year-to-date both.
On the Berkheimer, let me see what you're talking about.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, okay, and,
I think you're right,
yeah, I'm just seeing a larger amount coming in 2010. So my question was, are they capturing a lot of 2010 delinquent?
Yes, our earned income tax, we gave them the new, fresh 2007 year
Okay.
to them.
There's just a difference year to
Yes.
date then, okay.
Yeah.
Well, that suffices.
Yeah, that's
I'll
what's
follow
going
it up
on.
with her.
Our-
That was-
And she's the one who gives the numbers. She
You're right.
receives.
Take care. Anything else, Lois?
No, Mayor.
Any other questions for our tax collector, Council? Seeing that, any questions on our payroll report? All righty, we'll start down with our list of bills, and we'll start off with you, Clarence.
I'm okay, I don't have anything right now.
Harold.
I don't have anything.
Diane,
I do.
please.
I'm not sure who would answer this. It's on page 13. It's under for the district court. It's for the tax office, I believe. I just wanted to know, when do you go to court and how many times a year on the average, or is this unusual, or is this more?
No, that's not unusual. Every time we do an audit and we find that we're not getting proper reply to the audit, then if it's under a certain amount, then we go to the magistrate.
Okay, on the average, do you know approximately how much you're looking at?
No,
a
I
year or
don't.
anything?
I could tell you, I can look it up for you,
Yeah, I'd like to
Diane.
know that for budgetary reasons.
Yeah, I will do that for you. Usually, though, what happens on the budget, and you'll find
Do you
this
get
out.
that money back?
We'll get all that
Okay.
money back, and that's why that particular line item is in a credit, and that's because of Mrs. Dice, Chelsea. Miss MS Dice?
Get it right, Mr. Fulkerson.
Chelsea.
Chelsea.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anything else, Diane?
Yeah. Page 29, it's under K&K Supplies. There's many departments under there, one in which I'm unfortunately going to pick on you, Doug. There's one for $692.58 for office supplies. We actually have a total to K&K for $3,000 for this month. A lot of the departments had pretty big lump sums of the largest being the police 69258. Do you know what that's for?
I do not. I'll have to get back to you on that tonight. We did have some office items that were more big-ticket items that we had to
Did you
take care of.
gold plate your
Yeah,
desk?
Above usual here, above like paper and stuff like that. So I'll have to get
I don't
back to you.
think
I can't tell you
you
exactly about.
$690 worth of paper. I thought maybe if you thought of, you don't recall a big ticket item.
It's not just paper, I know
Right.
that.
That's what I'm,
But and I can't think off the top of my
that's
head.
fine.
But I'll get back to you on that.
okay, thank you. I was wondering, Mr. Little, if at this point you can, I don't know if it's something that we all use, or if we can maybe looking out for different suppliers. I see K&K a lot, but I also see stuff from Office.
We've already started that process back 6 months ago with Shelley, as far as what she does is she goes out once a month and she sees who has the least amount, the cheapest on the office supplies, and what she does is she puts it on the Z drive on the computer. Then those people in charge in each of those respective departments, they purchase it from the least expensive, because that wasn't done before, but it's being done now.
Right, but I still keep seeing, unless K&K is the least expensive,
They are
their
the
names
least
continually come up. Okay, so for whatever may be these high-ticket items, there's another one for Parks and Rec for $499.98. And then Finance Department, $378. They're just all like lump sum, high-ticket.
Well, what happens a
seem to
lot of
be.
times when you're purchasing office supplies, envelopes, papers, ink cartridges, and things of that nature, you'll buy them maybe 3 or 4 times a year in one lump big,
Okay.
in a big,
But I just want to make sure that when we do that, we're getting them from,
that is being done.
okay, we have one more. And it's just on page 54, Superior Pool Products for a pool heater. I know we had some discussions with regards if we were going to get
The
a,
grant. You were talking about that? Yeah, we're getting reimbursed for all of it, so it's a grant that went out, sorry, so we'll be getting.
and so therefore,
It's installed now, it's all done, and I guess the paperwork's already been submitted, and it's being turned over, and the grant will pay for it.
we had discussions with regards to getting a cover. I know Carol was part of that when we were doing the budget. Now, that would not, no longer be necessary.
No, we ended up
because,
getting, at the last minute, Joe, you want to tell them about it? We were reached out, and Joe found a way to get a grant
That's
for it.
some of the things we were talking about,
About
so
getting
therefore
covered.
that
was
won't be
back
necessary.
Way back when, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
great, thank you very much.
Anything else, Mike?
No, that's it, thank you.
Lois?
Well, actually, when Paul was up there, I was gonna, because that was one of mine, that I had I know that we've had a pool grant, and that, that's why, when I saw that figure for the pool heater, something that we were discussing, how would you do that? That may have fallen underneath the grant that was originally $55,000 grant, but was that the source that you were considering? No, it
No,
was not?
no,
Okay.
not
So
whatsoever.
it's really, it doesn't
Completely.
fall underneath the criteria?
No.
Okay,
Completely separate.
okay, all
All
right.
right.
So, thanks. Yeah, I'll go back now because I think I actually had a budget transfer question, only because I needed to have an explanation for the page 2 description. It's miscellaneous. There's a $3,000 figure that has been credited to miscellaneous equipment. It came from office furniture and equipment. I can't tell between what department, but it went to miscellaneous equipment and K-9. And I'm not sure if the K-9 is, I mean, the only K-9 I know is police-related, so. And usually Susan would address these, wouldn't she? So if I have to defer,
Well, part of this is for the new K-9 that we purchased. As part, this account, this 3,000 is to take care of the vehicles that we're transferring out. We currently, when we purchase new police vehicles, we take the better of the old ones. We put the new ones back into patrol that are used by the most officers and get the most mileage because they're used on patrol 24 hours a day.
Right.
The ones with the K-9s have take-home cars. We then take the best of them and we put new equipment in for the take-home cars. So that's for make it a canine car, because we have to assign one car to one dog. There's a health reasons, there just makes, they can deploy quickly from home when they get called out, things like that.
Okay.
Some of this, if not all of this, is going to be reimbursed with the DA's office. The DA's office has agreed to purchase the dog. I have a letter of intent that they're going to do that. We're still playing around with what the cost is going to be, or how much they're going to reimburse us. So, but this 3,000 miscellaneous equipment was moved. My guess is that it was for some of the equipment, not the dog, because the dog was pushing, I believe, close to 5,000, 5,200. But we're going to get that reimbursement.
Okay.
The Allegheny County DA's office has a fund that they use narcotic seizure money to reimburse them.
Oh, great, okay, thank you.
Doug, are you going to have, is that also the equipment for, protection for the dog, just like what happened, I believe, in Genetic Greensburg?
Well, yes, some of that includes, that's the automatic, very good point, Diane, thank you. Some of that includes, we have automatic door openers, windows come down when the car stalls out. There's a bunch of safety things for the dog.
Reaches a certain temperature.
Yeah, so there's
Oh,
a
okay.
temperature sensor there, blows the horn, the siren, tells them there's some wrong, that the car's gotten, it's too hot for the dog. Because the dogs do spend, even when we come into the station, a lot of times the dogs stay in the car.
I
just
notice
because
it, yeah.
It's in their kennel, it's their home, and they feel a lot safer there. So, and it's a little bit easier to keep track of them, we know where they're staying there. So that's part of that too. And that's all being reimbursed, I shouldn't say, I don't want to mislead you. I believe all of it's going to be reimbursed.
Possible
but
funds for it through the
high
county.
value of it is going to be reimbursed. And the issue certainly is with the new cars, as we start getting into even a new generation of vehicles, which is going to come up in 2012, we're going to be doing a lot of things different because they stopped making the Ford Crown Crown
Yeah.
Victoria that we use now.
Yeah.
So we're going to have to look at different light bars, different consoles, different cages in the back for prisoner cages, transport, that's all coming up.
Okay,
Thanks,
thank you
Diane.
for the explanation. Let's see here. Actually had a very good explanation over the Chester and the HRG stuff, because now I'm matching up some of the spreadsheets with what I see. I think they're ahead in time, but I can follow them now, so thanks, Paul.
Good.
Let's see, on page 9, there is a Convention Visitors Bureau. I just needed an explanation, and I'm not sure whether it's Paul or Joanne that could do it, but I saw 4511, and I saw the $1,080, and it's linked to is summer day camp. I really can't tell what this is for. I just needed an explanation. Page 9.
I just printed off my department, so it's not by page, so I
Oh, okay.
apologize.
That's fun.
So I didn't have a lot of papers. What was it again? 4,500?
Well, I mean, this is, it says Convention Visitors Bureau of Monroeville, then it has a $1,080 figure.
That's going to be for the bus she used for the camps over the summer. That's the fee that we have to pay them.
I see, over the whole summer.
Yeah, that's over that 8-week program she has, a summer day camp, and they
That's
take them
right.
on field trips.
That's right. Thank you. On page 19, Gleason Agency, there is well, this has got to be insurance, yes, but what exactly it is $300, and it's high lift additional, it's 1611, department that is. And Gleason has to be insurance. The new high dash LIFT additional PRE, whatever that means. Premium. So this is high mark, additional high
We
lift.
got a new equipment,
Yeah, it's for a high lift.
Yes. Okay. Very good. Very much. All right. Let's see if I got more here. Let's see, pool issue has been answered there, the heater. On page 65, we have retainer fees here, and it's for the Robert Ratcher. But, we have same figures that go each month for a retainer fee, but below each one of those 950 figures are different figures. One's 100 and the other one's 1,300. And I just needed to understand if these are different charges, after the retainer fees that go along with the month that pertain to what he may have done. Can we tell?
I'll give you an explanation. Not tonight.
Okay.
I'll give it to you.
Okay. All right, and let's see if I have any more. No, just wanted to really comment on year-to-date budget. I noticed in the community park that we have 4 times as many wedding ceremonies. So like 400% of the revenue coming in for wedding. Wow. Are you marrying a lot of people, Mayor?
Yeah, honestly, I am.
Okay. And that's really all I had.
And I have no further questions,
I was
Mr.
going
Mayor.
to just ask you, Bert. Okay. To all our managers, except for you, Chief Cole, have a great evening. Thank you all for coming. All righty. Bids and proposals, Mr. Little, if you would.
This is a geotechnical engineering service proposal. As council knows, we are having problems on Taylor Street, and Mr. Hugus, our engineer, has been looking into it and talking with Chester Engineers, and as of today, did they get a...
No, we met Garvin Ballard, who's our geotechnical engineer, at the site today. Did a site evaluation. I will have a proposal for Tuesday's night meetings for your consideration.
Okay, so that'll be for Tuesday's meeting.
I will pass it on to council if I get it before Tuesday, but it'll be here.
I'm sorry, that's not
before at
Chester,
least
that was Garvin and...
Garvin Ballard.
Garvin Ballard, which is a very good firm.
Anything else on bids and proposals?
That is all.
Mr. Dice, ordinances, please.
Well, we have resolutions first, right?
Well,
You want to do those first?
yeah, let's do our resolution. I'm sorry, I missed that. Resolutions,
All right,
please.
council, we have 4 resolutions for Tuesday's council meeting. The first one is a resolution authorizing the fire officials of Fire Company Number 5 to enter into a mutual aid agreement pursuant to the Pennsylvania Emergency Management Services Code with the municipality of Murraysville. What this is for, as council may or may not know, is for the ISO evaluation, and that's the insurance service organization that all fire companies, either paid or volunteer, can request from the ISO, and the ISO has certain individuals within a region that they come in and they do an evaluation of the volunteer fire company in our case. So we need this mutual aid agreement in order to get a high ranking with our ISO.
Mr. Little, if I may, I actually called Chief Harvey on this when I saw this on there, and if I can provide some further explanation.
Please,
if you don't mind. It's not for the entire municipality of Murraysville, is how it
It's
may
just for-
read. It's only for 2 departments, and it's only for 1 department in Monroeville. My understanding from Chief Harvey, who will be here, he said on Tuesday, if you have any further questions for him, I was just basically trying to get a basic understanding. It's for the ISO ratings, and it's for additional water source, and it's only for 1 department, number 5, and it's for only 1 apparatus, being a tanker, that would be called to 2 of the departments in Murraysville, not the entire municipality of Murraysville or the other ones, and not any other apparatus. And it's to help the ISO ratings so they have an additional water source.
So it's for our tanker to assist Murraysville.
Pardon me?
It's for our tanker to
Right.
assist.
Both. And if we would need it, then there's 2 departments listed in the agreement that would provide us their tanker
Okay,
to number 5, if
Okay.
number 5 calls.
mutual, yeah.
Thank you, Diane. Yeah, Mr. Little, or Diane, let's make sure that Chief Harvey is here.
He will be here Tuesday.
Yeah, I
just can't say that
called him.
He's on
He will be
vacation,
here.
Oh, very
but I
good.
Yeah,
called
he's
to
on
get,
vacation.
I knew he was
when
on
I first
vacation,
saw
so,
this, I
yeah.
called to get some explanation, so I would understand it for myself, and since he's not here.
And that's spelled out in the agreement.
Very good,
Yeah, it has the fire companies from Murraysville named.
Specific.
very good. Mr. Little,
Okay, resolution number 2 is a resolution authorizing the acceptance of grant funding for businesses, organizations for cultural and arts of the municipality of Monroeville, and further authorization the distribution of said funds for such purpose. This memorializes money we get for different functions that come into the municipality for the cleanup day and other park and recreation activities. Did you want to add anything to that, Councilwoman?
Well, no, I mean, I did try to contact every member of council. I think everyone is already familiar with our gifts and grants and how we had to cut that in half. And one of the things that was most difficult was for the Arts Council to get funding. They wanted funding. There's a very good chance that they could get funding, and if it were placed in, as Manager Little said, in Memorial, where they could actually be accountable. I sat down with possible donors, but it's for actually nonprofit, profit, all business to be able to put some money toward this. Some of the things that the Monroeville Art Council members need to show it over the years of being able to use this money include things like organizing fundraisers to encourage awareness of the Monroeville Art Council's commitment to the arts and to fund MAC, that's their acronym, visual and performing arts, and partnering as they've done in the past, but they've not been able to do it nearly as much. They've had a partnering with the East Wind Symphonic Band for benefit concerts. They had one this August. It was a splendid concert, but each time they do that, it costs $500 at least for just that band. And it's a local band, and it's a wonderful wind instrument, coordinating other programs for the Pittsburgh schools and for creative performing arts. So, this is not just one age. This is all ages, getting kids at the Sunrise School performances, organizing a juried talent show, supporting newly formed art groups, things that bring art to maybe those kids that may not all have the alternative of taking it in school because of their curriculum being changed, and basically spreading the arts. We should be making it that much better of a community by doing so. So why not have sections of the resolution, that the first section that you're reading there says where the funds are going to be able to supplement these things, and who's going to be accountable. So the Monroeville Arts Council would describe how they're going to use it for each year. They're going to use it. And our general ledger should reflect that accounting. So who gets what? Who got what from who? Business A or Business B? Maybe Business A gives them 1,000, Business B gives them 5,000. And for what purpose? And from whom? So there's an accounting. And then if somebody goofs, if one of the recipients' donor, Section 3 says, when you read it, if some of the recipients' donor money is improperly acquired, that it would not affect other monies they properly acquired, so that we can make things accountable for, doing things the right way with the money, clean bookkeeping, and supporting the arts. And so I think it's a great way to try to get some funding for that. So I'm hoping that council will support this.
Lois, and forgive me, obviously I know you and I didn't get a chance to talk. I know I've been missing in action, but I don't understand, because of family situation.
Sure.
But I don't understand what the resolution, I understand what you said, but I think that any grants that come in, no matter who it supports, I think there's certainly an accountability by each of the organizations. Is this just for culture and arts?
Well, yeah, I didn't, for instance,
I just need to understand. I think some of the residents would be just as confused as I am at this point.
okay, well, what, were you confused on the, who it would go to? It's specifically for that genre. It's for the arts. It's for, it could even be for the Monroeville Jazz Festival.
You're not saying all grants go to the culture and arts?
No, ones that, first of all, it's up to the organization, the MAC, the Monroeville Arts Council,
Sure.
to write a letter requesting money, and they are actually in the process of doing that, and they need to be accountable for how they're going to use that money. And for instance, they may be asking for 2012 a certain amount of money. Maybe they want, $6,000, and they need to.
From various businesses or
Yeah.
donors, correct?
Well, yes, because that's the idea. You get one and then you get another, and, it helps them take over their own fundraising eventually, because it gives them the seed money that they need to, where if they get more people involved in the arts and more members, they can raise their own money after that. But this helps them be able to restore some of the things they were trying to do, putting on symphonic orchestras, more than just one time a year. They had about 4 different concerts at one time, and being able to get a lot of children, maybe giving them the memberships into the art program. I think they call that Junior MAC, And because I had a chance to see, they had an art contest, and they had children, 11, 12 years of age up there receiving their blue ribbon for their media that they did in oil. And these kids are fantastic. Maybe they can't compete in sports, maybe they can't compete in the band, maybe they can't be a cheerleader, but they can compete in this. And so I just want to provide an avenue to do that. And actually, I sought the advice of our solicitor, so I
Well,
tried
yeah,
to
no,
make
no,
that-
no, I'm not against, I'm just didn't understand, because I assumed they would have gotten grants in the past from various businesses. At one time, we used to give to all of these
That's right, we
organizations.
did. We used to give them fairly
Yeah.
healthy. That's why I had asked to look back from 1991 on forward, all
Mm-hmm.
of the gifts and grants. At one time, we were more able to,
Oh, there's no question. Oh, okay, well, I just didn't want this to come across. When I first read this, I'm thinking, was there a problem? Not that I've ever heard with any of the grants that go into any of the organizations, there was any problems, at least in Monroeville. I'll speak just for Monroeville, not in my 4 years here.
Well, I think we were listening to some of the things that, like the Jazz Festival just had something, and I think Mr. Somerville does a really good job of
Yes.
fundraising. But who's to say that Mr. Somerville, and putting on putting on a jazz festival, might want to do something where, he might go after that, too.
Oh, I think it's great. I just didn't understand why a resolution was necessary.
And by the way, I talked to him as well.
Oh, no, it's a great idea.
Okay, well, I hope
Thank you.
everybody supports it.
Mr. Little.
Okay, number 3 is a resolution approving the Gateway School District to piggyback on the municipality's 2011 road paving program to perform applicable paving projects at the school district. Resolution was passed by the school district to piggyback on our 2011 road paving program, so conversely, we have to do the same thing to okay it. And I'd like to discuss a little bit further under my report, after the resolutions, a little bit more about the intergovernmental cooperation with the school district. Number 4 is a resolution.
Excuse me, are you going to clarify the error?
Yes,
There's an error on there, could you?
on the letter.
On the
original
letter
You gonna
that
do that in your
indicates
report?
that
I was going to do that in my report.
I thought you were going to talk about the intergovernmental meeting that happened yesterday that didn't talk about this.
Which error are you?
The one
Well,
that
here,
Greg's pointing to with his finger.
the capital repairs.
Oh, well, I'll talk about it now.
Okay.
In the letter from the school district, in addition to piggybacking, what they requested is that they needed some sinkholes fixed in different places, I guess, parking lots in the district. And they wanted our Public Works Department to do that. And I spoke with Mr. Steve O'Donnell, one of the school board members, and I told him that our Public Works Department really does not have the time to do that, because if it was a 1 or 2 day project, I wouldn't have a problem with it. But this seemed like it was a week or 2 week project, and our Public Works Department is finishing up on Illini Drive. They're going on to Vanderbilt. After that, what they have to do is they have to demolish homes because we have the excavator coming in. And so their plate's pretty full. But I told Mr. O'Donnell is that doesn't mean that the municipality, from my perspective, does not want to do intergovernmental cooperation with them. I certainly would like to see us do more of it. I just think it has to be planned better. To pull our guys off of the work they're doing right now, getting prepared for winter, getting the trucks all prepped, and pull them off for a week or 2 on another project for the school district, I just don't think is fair to what we're doing here. But I'd like to continue investigating and doing more things with the school district, though.
Well, but I'm saying what's on there now is wrong.
Yes, on this letter there, she's talking about in regards.
Hanging in there.
Okay.
And we'll get a correction, and I'd just like to, in
So
regards.
right now, we're just looking at adding on to our
piggyback.
Trusco.
Right.
That's it, because there's
Right.
that's
That's
not.
all we're doing. That's all the
Right,
resolution
right.
is.
And I'll make sure they resend another
Okay.
letter,
Thank you.
and hopefully before Tuesday. And I just want to make one other comment on that. In regard to the sinkholes, my understanding is they were dealing with the municipal authority, and I'm not sure what Mr. Caper has agreed or not agreed to with them. And then the other thing, and I'm sure, Tim, you'll touch on it more, on piggybacking with us, that change order will be paid for by the school district, as well as any of their work that's going to be
So
done.
there's no
by
expense to us. Basically, we also can do, we can even do that with county,
Right.
if they have, because I know that there's
Right.
even, they have contracts, we can piggyback on theirs. They're just getting our price, they pay for it.
Correct.
We have no.
I just want to make sure I
financial-
put that out there as well.
Yeah, I
Right.
think
It'll be on a, it'll even be on a separate invoice.
I'm just saying, even though, but also you're talking about intergovernmental cooperation, we even can piggyback on county contracts instead of having ours just like. the
Your
school
point is
district
very
and
well
ours.
taken.
Bruce, I got a quick question. Can I not close out my contract then?
Can I not close out my contract?
Because you're using the contracted prices with Tresco.
What's the urgency to close it out?
Well, I'm going to be finished early next week with my paving program, and I would typically close my contract.
Okay, I would suggest to you not to do that until this change order is complete.
Okay.
That's just being cautionary in nature. I don't want to procedurally do anything to upset the apple cart. Subsequently, I think you're going to be, bless you, when you're done, you're done. But let's talk about that as it goes here.
Okay. Thank you.
Is there any, no employees either? That's correct, no employees or anything? Just the pricing of our contract?
Yeah, it's just, yeah.
Any other questions on this resolution before you, council? Mr. Little, if you would.
Yeah, the next resolution is a resolution authorizing filing of an application for funds with the RAAC for grant funds in the amount of $75,000 for Jamison Lane intersection signal ADA upgrade. We got a call, or the mayor got a call from Senator Brewster that this would be CITF funds, which is the Community Infrastructure and Tourism Fund. And the $75,000, if we applied for it, may be available, so we're going to be applying for this, and this has to be in by the end of the month, hence the reason for the resolution.
And I want to just publicly say, I apologize, Diane, I know that's in your ward. I just have been very tied up with personal stuff. I would have contacted you, and I do apologize.
I appreciate that. I saw that here today, and I appreciate a little bit of advance notice. But
Well,
thank you,
again,
that's a good, it's a good thing either way. I appreciate you saying that.
Yeah, but again, I apologize for not getting sooner, hold you sooner. Okay, ordinances.
Yes, the ordinances that we have before us are the ordinances that have been the subject of our public hearings, although some of them aren't required to be the public hearing. We've lumped them together. The first is the subdivision and land development ordinance, second is the stormwater ordinance, third is the street construction specifications ordinance, fourth is the ordinance for land disturbance, fifth is the timber harvesting, sixth is the new standards for construction, and seven is the fire prevention code. Once again, they'll all be available for you to take public input on Tuesday, and if after that public input you care to continue that public hearing process, you can, or you could also be free to act on them on Tuesday.
So they'll make that decision on Tuesday?
Well, they can decide Tuesday whether or not to continue with public comment, or, you could close public comment and vote.
Questions on any of that, council?
I only had just a brief comment in that finally, after, vacations and everything and contacting all the entities, it's taking quite some time. It's taking me a long time anyway, so I would imagine, I'd anticipate continuing the public review.
Okay.
Very good.
Wait till Tuesday.
And I'd formally like to welcome Mr. Cooker for joining us. Thank you. I know your hands are quite full as well, my friend. We'll go over now to our reports of our officials.
Mayor, one thing.
Yes.
Number 7, Bruce, is a new ordinance.
There's a seventh one,
Number 7 is a separate
Oh, yeah,
ordinance.
yeah.
We need
the fire
Fire
code.
prevention
Yes.
code.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I read that.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, but that's separate from.
That's right.
For 6.
Yeah, so.
That's right.
Okay,
I mean, that's available for action on Tuesday.
that's
Thank you,
correct.
Paul.
Thank you, Paul. We're good to go now?
Does Paul
I've
have
been
any,
good.
does he have any comments, do you have any comments for that one?
No, it's a housekeeping matter. It was actually adopted in 2010, and there was some small language we had to change within the ordinance at the recommendation of the district magistrate.
Thank you. Clarence, we'll go to your report.
Good.
Carol?
I have nothing.
Diane, I didn't forget you guys. I'm just doing it different this time.
They're
Diane.
different. Usually there's like a laundry list of
I know.
terms.
Did it purpose.
I'm going to steal some thunder. I think that's okay. I think as everyone is more than aware, this Sunday is September 11th, which marks the 10-year anniversary of the 9/11 terrorist attacks. There are many different events going on, and one in particular I will speak of in a minute, but I think it was most important that we never forget, and I don't know how any of us could. If anyone is interested in volunteering their time, there's a website, and Joe put this up for me. It's www.911day.org. And it is, they will let you know of local events that are occurring in your area for you to volunteer or donating. All you have to do is put in your zip code, and they'll give you a list if you're interested in doing any type of volunteering or donating. And anyone who has an organization, you can actually register it on there too, to have local people donate their time. There are also some creative ideas on there if you are unable to get out and want to do something. For example, giving blood, lighting a candle. But again, it's most important that we don't forget. Next, there is also a community service being held here in Monroeville, a service of hope and healing this Sunday at 7 p.m. at the First Baptist Church of Monroeville, located at 3970 Monroeville Boulevard, which is right next to the BP. They sent out a very, very nice flyer and invited everyone. Participants will include members from a variety of churches in the community: Hillcrest Presbyterian, St. Bernadette, Crossroads Presbyterian, and First Baptist Church, to name a few, as well as first responders from our local departments. So hopefully a lot of you can attend that, again, at 7 p.m. on Sunday at the First Baptist Church on Monroeville Boulevard. And last, I would like to update you on the UPMC project. It's, I believe the issues they had are now resolved. Is that correct, Paul?
Yes.
And the construction has begun again. After work hours will resume this week on Route 48 northbound, which is the Max and Irma side of the roadway, and continue through the end of September. Fox Plan Road will be closed starting September 22nd from the Citizens Bank drive-through to Route 22 to reconstruct Fox Plan Road as a right turn only from Route 22. Day and nighttime work will take place on Fox Plan Road until mid-October. Citizens in Parkville banks will be notified of the road closures, and detour signs will be posted. After hours work will start on Route 22 the first week of October and will be completed pending no delays due to the weather conditions at the end of October. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Lois?
I'm just going to ask the manager, because we also had something from PennDOT. Were you going to, okay, because I'll.
No, you can bring it up now. I can.
Well, because we're talking about, construction process around that intersection, that very, very busy intersection. There's also something we've been notified, manager got this September the 8th, from Allegheny County, proposed detour. And the Department of Transportation is in the construction stage of a project on, it says State Road 376, that's the Parkway.
Correct.
Yeah, okay. In the municipality of Monroeville, the contractor has brought to our attention that a detour is going to be needed for the work on ramp M, exit ramp to Plum from 376 or the Parkway going east. The proposed detour is for traffic to continue east on the Parkway, exit at Murraysville, Business 22, and then make a left onto Old William Penn Highway and end the detour at Mosside Boulevard. The department wishes to use Old William Penn Highway, which is the local road here. The detour will be in effect nightly, so that's maybe the saving grace from 8 p.m. to 5 a.m., starting immediately and lasting a couple of weeks. So, and of course, it does say, if this is acceptable, please provide the department with a written approval for the use of that local road at your earliest convenience. Do we have to do anything officially here?
No, but Chief Cole has been informed of this, obviously, and so has Mike Adams, Public Works Superintendent, and they're okay with it.
Okay.
I don't think we'd be able to do anything
No.
anyway,
Yeah.
but I'd defer to the solicitor on that one.
No, I'm afraid you don't have much say.
Yeah, I don't think we have much say-so there.
You'll have that.
It's not within our jurisdiction.
Okay.
Although I do want to add one thing. I did talk to one of the engineers from PennDOT today, and he did, just so you know, they will be videoing Old William Penn Highway, so before and after, in case there's any kind of real damage to the road.
I do have some announcements, a couple of thanks. First of all, to a well-attended seminar that was on an otherwise rainy day. We had the identity theft seminar that was held at the Senior Center already. That was this Tuesday, and I was actually able to go. That was my day I could go. And a lot of good information was presented by Allegheny County's Mike Spagnoletti, and maybe Diane can help me with Jason. Remembering Jason was from the Sheriff's Office, but I don't remember his last name.
Tarup. T-A-R-A-P.
Jason Tarup. They did a great job. And and I learned a lot of things. For instance, ask me about gel pens, and also ask me about clear and cancel when you're getting your gasoline at the get-go. So thank you very much for that. These have been really very helpful safety seminars, and Tara has done a splendid job in trying to get them throughout the year. We repeat them, and there are a whole lot of things that are going on for continuous safety seminars, and thank you, Diane, for that.
Kudos to Dr. Martoni helped coordinate both the Sheriff's Office together, for them to come out together to do this, to have Officer Spaglinetti and also from the Sheriff's Office to do them as a joint one.
Yeah.
So if you don't mind sending him a shout out for that, he was tremendous.
That's excellent. Yeah, that's right. I saw Dr. Martoni.
He
there.
actually attended.
Had to be involved that way, sure. Also, thank you to the residents of the 3rd, and I'll just speak 4th Ward also, because we've had some storm sewer work that's being done on Illini, Vanderbilt, and Cortland. And I think that was pretty well completed today, and everybody's cooperating with off-street parking. And also, where I live, I'm fortunate enough to have Shackelford and Scott, and everybody's cooperating there. It's with these rainy days, it's good to see how this all comes together and gets done, and people are cooperating. So thank you, residents who are doing that. Just a couple more days, and I guess we're through that schedule. At Senior Center this Saturday, just want to remind everybody that there is bingo at the Senior Center, Saturday the 10th. Bingo is always at 1 o'clock, and it's following a lunch that is served for a nominal fee. It's always a great lunch. They have their September and October newsletter out. This is chock full of programs for the fall schedule, and you should check it out. Flu shots also, I wanted to mention, they're described in there, but I think these flu shots will be given out Monday, September 26th from 10 a.m. until 2 p.m. at the Senior Center. These are free for seniors with Freedom Blue, PPO, Security Blue, Medigap Blue, or Aetna. And as far as Mrs. Grisak said, I think that, the employees are welcome too, and the cost would be $30. They take cash or check, and bring your insurance card with you. Some competing meetings going on, coming up on Monday. But here's one that we have at the library every Monday, every first Monday, unless there is a holiday. So it's coming up the 12th. Sustainable Monroeville will be meeting. And just to remind people about Sustainable Monroeville, their mission is to help the municipality of Monroeville move forward in the green and sustainable economy. They have a lot of different solutions there. They talk about just a lot of things. Every month offers a different speaker, and it's free. And so this Monday, September 12th, before the 7 p.m. meeting, there will be a 6 p.m. potluck dinner. So the way that works is you bring something locally harvested or produced that way. And once you're there, you could also visit the Monroeville Food Garden, which is right outside the meeting at the library, which is downstairs in the, what do they call that room, the media room? But it is the downstairs room that we have meetings at the library. Food Garden has officially been recognized as part of the USDA's People's Garden Project. So we are officially, actually, we are the first municipality in Southwest PA to achieve the status. This is a new program. It's under USDA, and then we're going to get a little certificate that says we are part of the People's Garden, and I'm hoping to have that by the next meeting. I wanted to thank volunteers, Pam Barroso, Sandy McPhill. She is a master gardener. She's just recently joined. It's really been a pleasant experience, so great thanks to them. And finally, the Recreations and Parks Department will do something different at the end of the successful community pool season. And I think Manager Little can talk a little bit about it, provide the details. I'll just hint that it's a little fishy. And that's all I have.
Vernon, or I'm sorry, David.
No, I don't have a report.
Yeah, I just have a couple of things. One, thanks for everybody that came tonight. Two, on September 22nd, for anybody that is running for office, there will be a meeting with the local government academy. They're promoting their newly elected officials' pledge to excellence. And I encourage all people running for office to come to this. As you know, the local government academy was established by one of our former mayors, and it is a bipartisan organization that effectively teaches how to be a local official and how to do the job that you get elected to do, because governing is very different than running for office. So I encourage anybody that's running for office to attend on the 22nd, and that's really all I have. Is again, thanks. What?
Where at?
Where?
Oh, I'm sorry, it's here.
Okay.
It'll be here at 7 o'clock in this room on September 22nd, right? And with that, thanks again for everybody that attended, thanks for everybody that's watching, and Mr. Mayor, I'll turn it back to you.
Very good. Mr. Dice, anything
No.
more first? The reason why I did a little different tonight, ladies and gentlemen, I know Mr. Little has a long report as well as I do as well. So, Mr. Little, we'll turn it over to you.
Okay, I am going to jump around here because I asked Chief Cole to stay, and so I'm going to go to number 2 first. And number 2 under my report is a transfer of undercover vehicle to the Pennsylvania Attorney General's office for the narcotic enforcement. We have an old SUV. I want to identify the car. Has approximately 100,000 miles on it that the AG's office would like. And the car was purchased, I think it was 5 years ago or 6 years ago,
2005.
by asset seizure money. So it wasn't paid by taxpayers' money directly by Monroeville taxpayers. And the detective who had used that car is not using it any longer. He hasn't been using that for how long, Doug?
Just for about a month.
About a month, and he has a different SUV that he's using. So Chief Cole he and I have talked about it, and to establish a relationship with the AG's office, which is a very good thing to do, he and I are suggesting to council that we take the one SUV vehicle and give it to them.
Any questions?
Doug, you have anything to add to that?
Other than we were permitted to do it under the asset seizure rules, Dave. And they've also, just a side note, the Attorney General's office has seized 2 other vehicles that we put into our fleet just recently. Over the past, since I was doing it, since 1990, they've seized probably 15 vehicles that we've used one time or another. So this is just like trying to make it a little bit easier on them too. We can still share the vehicle, and I'm sure we'll still be able to use the vehicle. They'll just have to insure it and maintain it, and when we need it, we can just borrow it back. So it's kind of a 2-for-1.
Well, I'm in favor of giving it to them.
And we also have another vehicle coming our way that's
It's like we'll call it a trophy vehicle that we're
call
going
it
to
a
garage
trophy
keep it.
vehicle that really is more of an asset to have because of one of the drug seizures.
Well, that's correct. And what occurs with drug seizures, if we use vehicles, obviously for narcotics enforcement only, and we only use them sparingly, and then once we keep them for at least 2 years, we are permitted to sell them back on, just sell the vehicles and use that money that we get for that for narcotics enforcement. We're allowed to do that both at the state level and as well as at the federal level, under the federal asset seizure as well as the state asset seizure.
Are we giving this one to them as well?
What kind of car is it?
Keysport?
Well, I don't get, but it's SUV. It's a 5-year, 2005 SUV.
Weren't we looking for
Didn't pay for
SUVs at one point in time? Weren't we looking for trying to hold on to an SUV during the budget cycle?
Well, we
already-
got another one to replace this, actually.
Yeah.
So we've actually replaced this with another one.
So
That's a different color.
are they going to pay for this or what?
Well, Tim,
What
if
do
you
you want
would.
to do?
We're talking about the McKeesport?
Yeah.
Yeah, that is at the pleasure of council, and I talked to Dave O'Neill, who takes care of our police fleet, and this is car number 7, it's an 05, it has approximately 100,000 miles on it, and he estimated it to be a Blue Book value of about $1,500. Now, council's within its purview to give it to McKeesport, to to sell it for $1, to sell it for $100. It's up to, but it's up to council, but Dave O'Neill said that it's approximately about $1,500.
I know
Just-
we sold a used vehicle to Trafford at one time.
Mhm.
I mean, it's
You
not,
sold it, you said?
yeah, I think we
Are
did a
you
long time
talking
ago.
selling it here or giving it here? I'm confused.
Well, I'm just saying, it wouldn't be out of the norm to sell it to them for a nominal fee.
I'm asking if that's what you're looking at selling, or are you looking at? You're looking at
I know,
selling it?
from my standpoint, I'd sell it for the Blue Book value.
About $1,500.
I'm okay with that,
Well,
Okay, I'll-
on it to 'em.
I got a slightly.
Is that what you were looking at, Tim, selling it to them?
That is, like I said, I told,
They were, have they suggested paying a price for it? I'm asking about money here, and you're the only one who.
Yeah, they would
said,
pay.
we would be willing to pay.
yeah, they wanted, I mean, obviously, if it's $5,000. it's-
Right.
No, we
they're gonna
wouldn't
pay
do
for it.
that.
But they said that they would pay for it, and if you're agreeable to that, I would have that as a motion, on the agenda for Tuesday.
Well, may I just, throw a question out there, too? I just look at the immediate area around us and the needs of people who are more immediate to our area, and I automatically think of Pitcairn. And would their need, would they have the means, number one?
They just bought new vehicles, brand new ones, for their fleet, within the last year.
I think they're good with the vehicles.
Yes.
I would agree with that, Mayor.
If
I
you
don't
were-
think.
The reason McKee, if you read their letter, the reason McKee Sports requested, they had a couple of accidents about a month ago that I think it was 2 or 3 cars that were damaged, and they're kind of in a bind. Now, as a matter of fact, they wanted to know if they could purchase the car right away. This was almost a month ago, and I said, no, this has to go before council. And they're not just asking Monroeville, they're asking a lot of different municipalities from my
Because, I'm
understanding.
thinking, if they may have had a new fleet, but did they need an SUV? If it came to who might have greater needs, that's why I'm throwing that into the formula.
Well, things a little bit different with the AG's offices. We're transferring a vehicle over to them for narcotics enforcement that was bought with asset seizure narcotics
Yeah,
money.
that's the
So we're
source.
keeping it all kind of the same way there. So I don't know if, in the SUV that we're talking about, I do not think would be appropriate for a
Okay.
marked patrol vehicle
Okay.
in McKeesport.
Normally, if there was no need for anyone like this, would this be part of just be an auctioning one of the vehicles?
Yep.
And my understanding with those, you don't usually get typically too much more than probably what they would be willing to pay anyhow.
That is
That's
correct.
about what we get for them anyway, about $1,500.
So
Right,
it would be probably,
That's about what we get on auction.
being a
yeah.
cooperative entity to do something like that, since we would probably be getting that
How
amount.
many miles does it have on it? It's a 2005?
Over-
Both of them have over 100,000 miles.
100,000.
Okay.
Both the SUV and the patrol vehicle, meeting the resolution today.
Okay, so I will place that on the agenda for Tuesday, and the next issue with law enforcement is number 10. Law enforcement mutual aid agreement. What you have in your packet is just a mutual aid agreement with all of the municipalities, if they would sign into it in the Turtle Creek Valley COG. We had a joint meeting, a managers, police chiefs meeting on Tuesday, and Amanda Settlemeyer, the director of the COG, she has been talking about this, and she presented it at the meeting, and I told her since we had a meeting on Thursday night, I would give it to council, but I'm not looking for any legislative action to be done this Tuesday, more so maybe in October. I'll have a model ordinance that'll be coming from Amanda in the next week or so, and I'll have that ordinance on the agenda for the October meeting.
Doug, did you have time to review that?
I did, yes. I believe Bruce has reviewed it, too.
I just saw that.
Yeah.
You just saw it, right, sit right
Yeah.
here when I asked.
What it is the manager explained, is the Turtle Creek Valley COG's trying to get active with law enforcement as a group. Part of that is that the chiefs of police are meeting on a monthly basis, and we're trying to have a voice at the county level, coming from the eastern regional departments that belong to Turtle Creek COG. I'm in favor of the ordinance, certainly. We're not talking about we're going to be running calls consistently in other municipalities. That's not what it's about.
Right.
What it's about is if we get into a situation where we're going to do something joint, like maybe we have it already with a DUI task force, but maybe with something with narcotics in that region, or some type of vice task force, or something, just a speed enforcement type
Yeah, I just
thing.
want to list the
Get rid-
names on here: Braddock, Churchill, East McKeesport, East Pittsburgh, Edgewood, Forest Hills, North Braddock, North Versailles, Penn Hills, Pitcairn, Plum, Rankin, Swale, Turtle Creek, and Wilkins, and Wilkinsburg. So it's a lot.
It's
Wanna
a
make
Turtle Creek
sure,
Valley
you
cog.
know,
There are other cogs across, they're very active. The Shea Cog is the South Hills Council of Governments, they're very active. There's a one even in the North Hills where they get together as a group, so they have a little better voice when they go and talk. When you go talk to the county about something, you get 10, 12 departments behind you instead of just one. And that's all this is. The future of this will always depend on funding. One of the things it may help us with, even though it's not the primary reason why, but it may help us with applying for grants on a more regional basis and getting money for law enforcement. So yes, I have reviewed the ordinance. It is a Shea Cog ordinance, so it's been reviewed by many solicitors in the South Hills. It's kind of taken right off of that. So it's been, tried and tested over the past 6 or 7 years.
Any other
Okay.
questions, council?
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks.
Okay, thanks,
Chief.
Doug, I appreciate it. Okay, we'll go to number one, which Mrs. Allison already had mentioned in her report about the 9/11 Remembrance Ceremony, which is going to be at the First Baptist Church this Sunday at 7 o'clock. Item number four, you have a letter from Ms. Denise Bell, the Chairman of the Civil Service Commission. They would like to appoint Sean Warner from Barry Warner Law Firm as their solicitor of the Civil Service Commission. And I would like to put that on the agenda for Tuesday's council meeting unless council has any objections or any comments on that.
Seeing them?
Okay.
So will that be in the form of a resolution, or you're?
Yeah, I could, it's a motion, a resolution, what I was just going to have.
It's
it as
just a simple motion.
Yeah,
Okay.
just a motion. Item number five is that annually, my understanding is that we have a meeting, the Finance Committee has a meeting with our auditors, Hozak and Speck, but Mr. Cooker, who's head of the Finance Committee, has deferred that to the rest of council. And we had called Peter today, our auditor, and I didn't get back with any dates, but one of the dates I was going to suggest is at the next work session in October, next month's work session before that, if that pleases council, to have it then, maybe at about 6 o'clock.
That's acceptable.
Okay, as long as because Pete didn't get back with us, as long as it fits in with his schedule. Okay?
So that's an hour, I guess that would be.
Correct. Item number 6, the intergovernmental cooperation, I already spoke about with council. Item number 7 is what Mrs. Drumheller was mentioning about, we're going to have on October the 1st, you have a flyer in your packet. We're going to have our first family fishing fun on October 1st at the Bel Air Pool. And this was Mr. Estock. I should have told Mr. Estock to stay here and talk about this a little bit. And it's going to be fishing for trout
He's still in the hall.
in the pool.
It sounded very fishy to me.
Yeah, and he mentioned this to me about 2 months ago.
Pool with trout?
Yes, and stock the pool with trout, and everybody's going to come in and...
This could only happen at the end of the season.
Right, and it's obviously going to be for the end of the season.
Is it going to be
And
like hillbilly catfish fishing? You
Well,
get in
Paul
the
has-
pool
Paul has
and grab
thought-
it with your hands?
It was kind of surprised me a little bit, too, but he said they've done this in other community pools at the end of the year. So we're going to have a little trout fishing. It's $10 per person.
He's at
and
the door.
And the proceeds go back into the Park and Recreation.
Yeah, he's outside right now. He's at the door.
Is he?
I don't want to drop the time. I don't want to
Oh,
drop
do
the time.
you want to say anything? You want to say anything more about?
you would flounder.
He couldn't
No,
resist.
no, I couldn't resist.
That flounder trout.
I wasn't sure if you were going to bring it up. This is something that myself went and attended a pool class that I had to take for the pool, and this gentleman out of Butler does it, and it's basically run through the Pennsylvania Fish and Boat Commission. He runs it in his pool. Basically what they do is they go to a fishing farm, and they buy fish, and they stock their pool with fish. And they bring the kids in from ages 5 to whatever. Anybody, it's just a family fun thing. The Pennsylvania State Boat Commission and Fish Commission will come out, teach the kids a little bit about fishing and the proper things, and then allow them to fish. We're not sure how many people we're going to get for this. We have a lot of interest, but the pool is actually right now just running on a pump. It's no chlorine, and it's all being taken care of, so all that's being done. And then the fish will then be taken out, whatever's left over, and dumped down in the creek.
Oh,
So,
okay.
Very
yes,
good, Paul. You did
so-
a much better job of
No, I
explaining
just
it than
didn't want to see you. You get the flyer to see if anybody's, the rainbows for the rainbow trout, the brown, that's all, so.
Good shot, too.
Oh, yeah. that was-
So no
Thank you,
hillbilly trout fishing.
Right, I'll deal with him tomorrow. I got other issues.
Hey, Paul,
Yes, sir.
boss said he'll deal with you tomorrow.
All right, item number 8 is I emailed council about, I have been talking with Joe Habala for about the past month about wanting to expand the programming of TV 15. And basically, what we'd like to do is to have on TV 15 programs or speakers like Mrs. Drumheller was talking about in her report, for instance, about ID theft. Interesting things like that. The library has a speaker every Wednesday evening, and obviously, if the speaker agrees to it, we would like to film or video that speaker. And those are the two areas we just want to start out with slowly on expanding the programming. And one of the question was, would there be overtime involved? No, there would not be overtime involved in this endeavor because JB, Joe Balsick, who is the assistant, obviously he's in the union, but there's a clause in their contract about flex time, and I've talked with Jim Tomasek about that, the union rep, and there's no problem, for instance, if they're out videoing in the evening, Joe would not incur any overtime. It would be a flex time where he can come in later that day or within a pay period. So there would be no overtime at all involved with it.
Have you spoken with the department heads from the library and the senior center?
Yeah,
Or who else?
yeah, we've talked with Tara,
They
we've
don't
talked with...
feel it might interfere with the people actually coming to the facility and attending?
And that was one of the questions that I had for Christie and Tara, and they said they didn't see any threat to that at all. And that was one of my questions for them.
Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna not, be able to see it on TV, not maybe attend.
But we're gonna take it, slow right now, and if that comes up, then, Christie or Tara will...
Or if he can be there to tape them, where they'd be available for someone to go get them and view them for themselves.
But I think like the ID theft is a typical example of something that I think should be broadcast so people can watch it, because like you said, Lois, you said that a lot of people got a lot of information there. So
You look at, too, of who may watch it and what information you want to get to certain people. If you know that a group of people are learning about identity theft and they're being taught these things, you also have the people who are doing it knowing they're being taught these.
Oh, so in other words, it's good on 2 counts?
No, I would say it would
she's saying,
not.
she's saying
You know,
with
if
the
you have
bad
someone-
guys.
Right, they know that a seminar is being held, and these people are learning this, they change their ways of how they're doing certain things, because now you have people learning about, it's too much information sometimes given about crimes.
I actually, Tim, was wondering, because I was looking at I always read the safety task force notes, and they had 5 employees with employee injuries. Some of them were flukes, but to actually think about using TV 15 internally to address safety,
Sure.
for lifting, proper lifting, things that you could run in-house, so,
Sure.
Do some type health programs.
And I don't know whether that would use resources that would, cost extra time on the clock, but I'm obviously, it would help on the safety end, though.
Yeah, and if I could put a plug in, I'm going to be interviewing on my first episode here with Amanda Settlemeyer, the director of the COG, on September the 29th. Joe has that set up that I'll be interviewing her about the advantages of the COG.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so there's different things that I would like to see get on, the TV that I think would really benefit the residents. Okay, if there's no other questions, number 9 here is, I spoke with Tom Wilson, the chairman of the RDA, and he put in writing, as I asked him to, and you have it in your packet, about RDA requests for municipal services. For instance, using Mr. Sedlak, who is our open records officer, if there's any requests for documents, asking the council to provide a mail slot and also a file cabinet that's locked. Item number 3 is requesting council to let the RDA use the municipality's address. And number 4 is we're requesting to use a copying machine and other resources that may help the RDA grow for the benefit of the Monroeville municipality. And the last one is requesting that the municipal manager be permitted to place the ads for advertising the RDA meetings. Any comments from council or pros or cons?
Well, first, before we make any decision on what we would do with them, I'd like to see the outcome of a vote in October, since we can't do it now due to advertising constraints. But secondly, additional advertising costs, I wouldn't support. We don't have the.
Oh, that's not part of this, that's not advertising. It's just me just signing my name on it and saying the RDA is going to have a meeting. It's not, they would pay for it. That's not what this is saying.
So no, in other words, the administrative,
Yeah, it would just be, for instance, like, I'll give you a good example. Yesterday, we had an ad that was going to go into the paper as Mrs. Allison knows, because she's on the RDA, to advertise the meetings for the last Tuesday of each month for 2011 and 2012. And Lynette gave me, and I said, well, wait, I said, I shouldn't sign this. Tom Wilson should sign it. Okay? Now, so, I mean, is it a big deal that I sign it? I thought, well, council should know about that.
Well, you have the zoning, I mean, I see the other ones for planning commissions aren't signed by you. The zoning hearing board is not signed by you. The Monroeville Water Authority, Municipal Authority is signed by that appropriate one.
Right,
I mean,
correct.
it should be the
that would be the
chair.
closest thing, would be the water authority, with the municipal
Yeah.
authority.
It should be
So
the
that's-
chair of the,
Well, Mr.
Okay.
Will, Mr. Wilson said on item number 5 that the RDA will pay for these ads. It says it right here.
Yeah.
Okay. I haven't read that yet, and he just said that
They're
they were
gonna-
going to do advertising, so.
they're going to pay for it and they can put it in. They should be on it. That's how they do. I
Okay.
mean,
All right.
the municipal authority, they
Yeah.
advertise their own, as Mr. Caper puts it in.
Does council have any other,
I got a question. Did someone find money at the RDA?
You missed that discussion?
Yeah, you missed that part.
Because they have treasure here.
Yes.
Yeah, Ron.
No, it
maybe
says
the mayor
treasure.
can
Did you
explain it
read
to
that memo?
treasure?
Mr. Little gets the joke.
No, Dave, you weren't here.
Read the memo. Read the memo.
No, he's making.
It's a joke.
Never mind.
Yeah. Bad timing, Dave. Well, in any event, I need to know if council wants me to put, except for item number 5, does council wish me to, or does council want, what Mr. Erb wants to do is let's hold off on this until,
I think either way, you should not be on there, and the chairman should be. So regardless of
agree
what
with
happens
that.
there, I don't think this is appropriate either way. The chairman should sign them. The chairman should advertise. They do for everything else, the planning commission, zoning here, the municipal authority.
then I'll put this on as a motion, notwithstanding number 5 here, for the council meeting on Tuesday. Okay? All right. Okay, skip to an item number 11 on the camera person update. Just to let you know, we've had, obviously, as you know, we have 2 incumbents, and we had 4 resumes that come in from the advertisement in the Times Express. And Joe Hobal and I are going to interview all 4 candidates, okay, to see about their qualifications in running a camera, just to give you an update on that. Item number 12 is zoning hearing board alternate positions. Under the municipality's planning code, you're allowed to have up to 3 alternates on the zoning hearing board. We had a meeting canceled last night, from my understanding, is a rare event, but nonetheless, if it pleases the board, what I'd like to do is have 2 alternates, because we do not have a zoning hearing board from Ward number 1 nor Ward number 2, which would be Mr. Cooker and Mr. Erb. So we could put that on the commission's boards, and if you 2 gentlemen have anybody to appoint as alternates, then we can do that, because it's permissible under the municipality's planning code.
Okay.
What was
You
the,
know, we discussed this a long time ago
Yes, we did.
what was the
about
discuss-
alternates.
Yeah, where'd that come about?
Well, because we were, well, it's in the MPC, so I was asking about it. And I can't even recall the details of why I brought it, but I remember we discussed it.
Yeah, we had a cancellation last night, and there was a hefty agenda last night.
Didn't have enough person.
And Dara Braun, the secretary, she called everybody, and everybody was okay with it, the applicants. But you have a lot of people that the summer is ending and fall's coming and the snow's going to be flying, and they're going to be wanting to do projects, putting up fence or putting a shed, and they may have to get a variance for a setback or something like that, and this just delays them. Now, this is, like I said, this is very rare. Usually with a five-member zoning hearing board, you usually don't have. It's more prevalent with a three-member board, which is more common. But nonetheless, I do think there should be alternates there that could step in and at least for one night, understand what the zoning hearing board is about and at least make a decision on some of the minor issues like setbacks and things of that nature.
The MPC covers this, is
Correct.
correct, Bruce?
But our,
The
I thought
MPC?
They
Our
talk
ordinance-
about
Yes.
alternates.
the appointments aren't ward-specific.
Correct.
No, they don't have to
You don't have to
be.
do the other ones. I mean, you're saying 1 and 2, which they don't have to be.
Well, you're
I kind of
correct.
don't
You're-
like what,
I think he was just being,
polite.
yes.
Okay, well, that's not, we just need to follow the rules.
Well, if we wanted to find, if I wanted to.
Of course, surely can, but so
Fine,
can Ward
point
5
someone
too.
from
You
Ward
don't have to
2.
be 1 and 2 because
Wait,
we
well,
have
why-
ward, we have ward-specific ones. We have authorities and commissions that are ward-specific. Other ones
I
are not.
understand.
This one is not, so it does not have to be. If you two find one, it does not have to be. So you don't have to look for them. If you can't find them, they can be from other wards.
Right, we
Or to
understand.
get to be representative fairly, have them from there. But there are ones that specifically say are ward-specific.
Maybe
This
I'll
one
find
is
somebody
not.
that's not in Ward 1.
You may, that's fine, that's
Well,
okay.
just so everybody knows, and Diane's absolutely correct on that, but you know, what has happened in the past, and sitting on that board for many years, that council always kind of shared the wealth. If, in other words, if Ward 1 had somebody step off because they did their 2 terms, then obviously they would concede to whoever, you know, didn't have one on it.
Right, they're kind of rotated around.
Yeah, they rotated it around. I guess that's a good way to put that, but Diane, you're absolutely correct, though. It can
Well, he
be from
said
anywhere.
that he was looking, it was specifically, they had to
Right.
look for them, and I wanted to
Clarify
clarify
that,
that
sure.
it is not ward-specific.
Bruce, you'll have to help me out. It's been a while since I read that MPC on that specific issue, but I think if the alternates get on a certain case and it extends, they have to stay there for that specific case. Is that correct?
That's correct.
I think there was another issue too about paying them, because that's a paid board, so the member who didn't show up would not get paid, and it would be the alternate that would get paid, is that?
Whoever was active on the case.
Okay.
Okay, so that's how that works, okay.
Any other questions, council?
No, that's all I had. I have no problem with the,
Okay, if council doesn't have any problem, I will put that on the boards, commissions, and authorities list.
To seek appointments.
Yeah, exactly, to
Okay.
seek appointments. And item number 13 is council's permission to place a quarter-page ad in the Pennsylvania Sports Hall of Fame in the amount of $25. And item number 14 is council's permission to place a business card-size ad in the Gateway Sports Hall of Fame program booklet in the amount of $25.
I just want to comment on these 2 items. And I know that the Gateway Sports Hall of Fame, I know we have given money to in the past. I'm not sure if we've done it with the Pennsylvania Sports Hall of Fame. But one thing I do want to comment on, because these are always small amounts, and it's like we're being nickeled and dimed, but I do want to make clear to the public that there is money that's taken out of our paychecks, and it started, I think, about 23 years ago, that money was taken out of council's paychecks for the express purpose of doing these types of things. So this is not necessarily, this is not, to quote Tim earlier, not directly taxpayer money. It's taxpayer money, but it's taxpayer money that was paid to the council people as part of their wages, and it was taken out of our wages and put aside, and there's a fund that was created for this purpose. So when you see these things come up and you hear us vote on them, it's really our personal cash, I guess, that we're voting on. So,
I was making a little joke, it's kind of like our Social Security Trust Fund.
yes, yes.
you invest in stocks and bonds or what?
Oh, no.
Anything else for us, sir, Mr. Little?
And that concludes my report.
Okay, I just want to go back
Sure.
to number 12. Tim, I think
number
we established the ZHB by ordinance. I think we took it from 3 to 5.
That is correct.
I think what we want to do is probably amend that ordinance to provide for alternates.
Yeah.
And then, so it may not be an action item for Tuesday.
Okay.
Put it in, let's take a look. If you could get Lynette to send me that ordinance, or we
Sure.
can pull it up. I think what's going to be appropriate is to do an amendment to the zoning, the configuration of the zoning hearing board.
Okay.
All right, now, will you have enough time to draft
Yeah.
that?
Not for,
No,
not,
No, that'll have to be
Ordinance,
trucked
you have to
over.
advertise
That'll
it.
yeah,
have to-
that's-
it'll be
we got-
It'll be
That's right,
October.
That's right.
Yeah, we
You
got,
can't advertise or,
But I mean, you can get ready for it. There's nothing wrong with you anticipating that, but,
Okay.
I think we just want to follow that ordinance and amend it. That's all.
Thank you, Mr. Dice, keeping us straight. Go ahead, Mr. Kruger, you have something?
yeah, there was something else. I forgot to mention this earlier. During my report, I might as well mention it now. Diane Allison attended that FBI Citizens Academy. I wanted to congratulate her. I was the first to go, she was the second, and it is extremely informative. I know I'm extremely satisfied with the materials that I learned, and I'm really glad I went, as I know she is.
Anything else for us?
No, that's
Glad
all.
you went?
Well, I don't know if she's glad. I know I'm glad I went.
All right, folks, let me get to my report. I do have a long one. I apologize for that. I'll try to go through it very quickly. I've already had calls on the Halloween, and it will be on October 31st, Monday, from 6:30 PM to 8:30 PM. And Mr. Little, if you will, let's get that up on our website. Again, you can certainly call in, but it is on Monday, the 31st, from 6:30 to 8:30 PM. We also have our fall cleanup day, which is coming up real quick here. I'm sure you've been hearing about it, and that's on it's on Saturday, September 24th, from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m., with a picnic following, as we do with our spring cleanup at our community park. You can call Mr. Joe Sedlak to sign up, and for any information that you may need at 412-856-3306. I hope to see many of you there. And again, if you check to see if that's on our site as well. I realize we're getting close, but I like that up on our website as well, that information. This Monday, on September 12th at 7 p.m., Senator Jim Brewster is going to have a town hall meeting here in council chambers. They're going to be discussing and he's going to be looking for input from you in regards to the state budget reductions to education, transportation issues. He'll certainly have some open forum, and I will certainly be in attendance, and I certainly hope many of you will attend as well. I congratulate Senator for taking the time to sit down with us. I think he's going to be doing that throughout, and we are one of the first town hall meetings, at least in this area here. Obviously, they've mentioned this Sunday on the 11th at 7 p.m. for the First Baptist Church. Please attend to that. But also, don't forget, we have Monroeville, Celebrate Monroeville. This will be on the September 15th at the Monroeville Convention Center from 4 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. At 5:20 p.m. to about 5:40 p.m., there'll be a special 9/11 tribute ceremony. Many local leaders will be in attendance, first responders, police, fire, EMS personnel, as well as our military personnel. Please try to attend this tribute. Obviously, you'll enjoy the whole evening, but this is a very special tribute that our chamber is certainly sponsoring. And talking about our National Day of Remembrance, which is coming up on September 11th, the U.S. Senate, under Senate Resolution Bill 237, passed a resolution requesting that every municipality, town, city produce a proclamation in support of the moment of remembrance of the 10th anniversary of our September 11th attack on the United States. Whereas the governing body of the municipality of Monroeville expresses their support of the United States Senate regarding coming together as a nation and ceasing all work or other activity for a moment of remembrance beginning at 1 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time on September 11th, 2011, in honor of the 10th anniversary of the terrorist attack committed against the United States on September 11th, 2001. And whereas at 8:46 a.m. on September 11th, 2001, hijacked American Airlines Flight 11 crashed into the upper portion of the North Tower of the World Trade Center in New York City, New York. And whereas 17 minutes later, at 9:03 a.m., hijacked United Flight 175 crashed into the South Tower of the World Trade Center. And whereas at 9:37 a.m., the west wall of the Pentagon was hit by hijacked airline Flight 77, the impact which caused immediate and catastrophic damage to the headquarters of the Department of Defense. And whereas at approximately 10 a.m., the passengers and crew of hijacked United Airlines Flight number 93 acted heroically to retake the control of the airplane and thwart the taking of additional American lives by crashing the airliner into Shanksville, Pennsylvania, and in doing so, gave their lives to save countless others. And whereas nearly 3,000 innocent civilians were killed in this heinous attacks of September 11, 2001, and whereas tens of thousands of individuals narrowly escaped the attacks at the Pentagon and World Trade Center and witness to this tragedy are forever changed, and whereas countless fire departments, police departments, first responders, government officials, workers, emergency medical personnel, and volunteers responded immediately and heroically to these horrific events, and whereas the Department of New York suffered 340, the Fire Department of New York suffered 343 fatalities on September 11, 2001, the largest loss of life of any emergency response agency in the United States history, and whereas the Port Authority Police Department suffered 37 fatalities in the attacks, the largest loss of life of any police force in the United States history in a single day, and whereas the New York Police Department suffered 23 fatalities as a result of the terrorist attacks, and whereas the impact of that day on public health continues through 2011 as nearly 90,000 people are at risk or suffering from negative health effects as a result of the events of 2011 or September 11, 2001, including 14,000 workers and 2,400 community residents who are sick and tens of thousands of others whose health is being monitored. And whereas 10 years later, the people of the United States and people around the world continue to mourn their tremendous loss of innocent life on that fateful day. And whereas 10 years later, thousands of men and women in the United States Armed Forces remain in harm's way defending the United States against those who seek to threaten the U.S., and whereas the 10th anniversary of this tragic day, the thoughts of the people of the United States are with all the victims of the events of September 11, 2001 and their families, and whereas the lives of the Americans were changed forever on September 11, 2001, when events threatened the American way of life, and whereas in 2009, Congress and the President joined together to designate September 11th as a National Day of Service and Remembrance under the Save America Act, Public Law 111-13-123. Whereas in September 2009 and 2010, President Obama issued Proclamation 8413 and Proclamation 8559 proclaiming September 11, 2009 and September 11, 2010 respectively as Patriot Day and National Day of Service and Remembrance. And whereas September 11th will never and should never ever be just another day in the hearts and minds of the people of the United States. Now let it be resolved that the governing body of the municipality of Monroeville recognizes September 11th, 2011 as a day of solemn commemoration of the events of September 11, 2001, and a day to come together as a nation and offers its deepest and most sincere condolences to the families, friends, and loved ones of the innocent victims of the September 11, 2001 terrorist attacks, and honors the heroic service and actions and sacrifices of the first responders, law enforcement personnel, state and local officials, volunteers, and countless others who aided the innocent victims of those attacks, and in doing so, bravely risked and often gave their own lives, and recognizes the valiant service, action, and sacrifices of the United States personnel, including members of the United States Armed Forces, the United States intelligence agencies, the United States Diplomatic Service, Homeland Security, and law enforcement personnel, and their families who have given so much, and including their lives and well-being, and to support the cause of freedom and defend the security of the United States, and reaffirms that the people of the United States will never forget the challenges our country endured on and since September 11th, 2001, and will work tirelessly to defeat those who attacked the United States, and further be it resolved, on the 10th anniversary of this tragic day in the United States history, the governing body of Municipality of Monroeville calls upon all the people and institutions of the United States to observe a moment of remembrance on September 11th, 2011, including media outlets, houses of worship, military organizations, veterans organizations, airlines, airports, railroads, sports teams, the federal government, state and local governments, police, fire, and other public institutions, educational institutions, businesses, other public and private institutions, and be it further resolved that I, Mayor Gregory Arasinko, encourages the observance of this moment of remembrance to last for 1 minute, beginning at 1 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, to the maximum extent practical, ceasing all work and other activity, and marking the moment in an appropriate manner by the ringing of bells, blowing whistles, or sounding sirens. Again, this issue was passed by the Senate, and the good news is I would hope that every resident here that can listen to this broadcast will adhere to it. I have 2 more issues, and I'm sure you will talk about our executive session. I'd like to respond to a letter that was put out to the editor on September 1st, 2011, about crimes on everybody's mind. I was very offended by that letter. It appears that the writer decided that this council does not take public safety as number 1 issue. As everybody knows, we've had a lot of disagreements up here between this mayor and this council, but the one thing I can say, and I can say it unequivocally, that I believe every member in this council and the administration supports public safety, and that is number 1 issue. I don't think there's ever been an issue on that. One of the things that's misleading in the article is talks about the wave of crime, armed robberies, and it seems to be on everybody's mind. I spoke with Chief Cole this morning, and major crime in Monroeville is down. We've had a big rash of burglaries in 2010, and there is no question, and certainly most of that was due to the economy. But the good news is, up until this date here in 2011, that has decreased substantially. Also, the writer referred to the shift minimums and felt that we as a council were not doing our due diligence, or our police chief and assistant chief and our administration was not doing their due diligence. Let me make it perfectly clear what shift minimums means. That means on each of the shifts there is an absolute minimum. That does not deter the chief and the assistant chief to increase those numbers. If you remember, we passed a resolution not long ago. They cannot go below that. They can certainly raise above that. And I would assume, and I have full confidence in Chief Cole and Assistant Chief Pascarella, that they would review, and they do on a regular basis, the goings-on in Monroeville, if you will, with crime activity, not just crime, traffic, public safety, period. And I assure you, we've had many officers on all the shifts, not just the minimum. They move that personnel as well. In my opinion, This is fear-mongering. As a matter of fact, when Kyle from the Times Express even pushed it further on where the writer got his information, he was not able to address the issue. Was not able to come up with the names. Did he talk to anybody in the police department? Did he talk to anybody on council? To the knowledge of Kyle, who called me as well, gave my opinion, and I asked him, was he able to come up with any names? He was not. So this is just fear-mongering. And I realize this is an election season. But I just don't appreciate misinformation going out there, especially when it talks about public safety. Again, I'll say it again, and I'm going to move on to my last issue here. I've had a lot of disagreements with this council. They've had disagreements with me. But I think I can say this, and say this unequivocally. Everybody up here keeps public safety number one in their mind. So please, to any writer, just if you're going to put out information, put it out factually. That's just fear-mongering. Last issue, as everybody knows, and I'm going to bring up for the last time, and I want council to consider, as you all know, that I was not supported in my trip to Washington, D.C., as a matter of fact, even the two individuals who were going to support it or pay for it even were a little fearful of this council's repercussions, or whatever you want to call it. They backed off. I returned their money to them. I paid for it out of my pocket. As everybody knows, Councilwoman Drumheller used 2 summer employees, 1 operator, 2 to run our backhoe. And obviously, I went to the FEMA website and figured out the salary ranges. And I'm going to pass this out to council. I'm going to ask this be placed under Tim Little's report. For the use of the 2 summer employees for approximately 4 hours, it cost the taxpayer $64. It's $8 per hour for each summer employee. For the use of a level 2 operator for 4 hours to run the backhoe, cost the taxpayers $101.44, which his hourly rate is $25.36 per hour. Use of the loader backhoe for 4 hours, cost of the taxpayers was $132. I received this information from the FEMA website at $33 per hour. That's the FEMA schedule of equipment rates. So total cost to the municipality, basically, for this unauthorized expenditure was $297.44. I'm going to ask this council to consider either A, requesting that this money be paid back by Councilwoman Drumheller, or if you cover this, I'm going to request again that you cover my trip to Washington, D.C. I want everybody to think about this. Both endeavors were good, and I realized, doing a little bit more research, that yes, Mrs. Drumheller went to Tim Little and requested it, and he certainly approved this endeavor. But let's go back to if this was the mayor, and I did that with this trip. Do you think that this council, or let's just be very frank about this, Councilman Drumheller would have certainly grilled me on that, saying, how can you do that it wasn't put in a budget? It hasn't been approved by this council. Well, neither was this action either. So I'm going to ask this be placed under your report, and I will pass this a copy out to each of the council members for their review.
You did factor in the 350 pounds of produce, didn't you?
I understand that. Bottom line is, we have to stay consistent. If this is appropriate, then I think my trip to Washington is appropriate as well. And with that, I'm going to ask for a motion to go to executive session. And our recess into our executive session. And at our executive session, we will talk about our tax office personnel, police negotiations update, and our clerical negotiations update. Is there a motion on the floor to recess to executive session?
I'd motion that we recess to executive session.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And we will recess to our executive session.